Dr. Bland, thank you for joining. I know how busy you are, so this means a lot to me that you would take the time to hop on and share with people your perspective on why the Biology of Trauma book is helpful and valuable for our time.
Well, first of all, I hope that those viewers who will witness this video that we're doing recognize how uniquely valuable your information is. There is no one that I'm aware of in the broad field that I've had a chance to live in for now 50 years, traveling 6 million miles, speaking to, I don't know, it would probably be an understatement to say hundreds, probably thousands of different clinicians and researchers in the field, how you have been able to assemble an extraordinary program based upon contemporary science that really speaks to one of the most dominant psychosocial problems we have in our culture today, which is trauma. And I've had the privilege of hearing you speak on a number of occasions. You are so eloquent, and you have this broad-based background that allows you to pull together a whole variety of different parts of the story into the whole to make it not only user-friendly, but to make it actionable. And I think that's a gift that you have. And your passion and your life's work is exemplified by what you've done, both with your patients and your education, and now your book. And this is a must read. And I think the field of trauma is all capitalized as is your nomenclature. And I think it's capitalized because it is so prescient and so present in our society today as a dominant theme that erodes people's quality of life and makes us operate often out of a defensive posture. And when we're operating off a defensive posture for fear or anxiety or pain or sorrow or whatever it might be, it never allows us to have the full joy of being on offense, on life's offense, in which you can fully celebrate all the good stuff that's happening around you, but you got this dimmer switch of trauma that really keeps it curtailed. So I think your approach is brilliant. I think it represents neuroscience and the functional approach across different systems to really look at how we can augment and mobilize all the various factors that help to recorrect what the body really wants to do. It wants to get out of a trauma cycle, and it wants to get into a forward-looking joy cycle, and we just have to help it along the path. And I think this book will do a lot to help people to do that, to accomplish that.
You know, in the book, I'm very open about the health challenges that I had starting in 2014. And without your work of having paved the way and really created functional medicine into what it is today, I don't know if I would have found the answers that I needed for myself at that time. And as I look across the world and how things have changed, I still see so many people stuck back with what I'm calling a biology of trauma without that hope and those answers. So I am so grateful for what you did that even allowed me to be able to bring that piece into the work that I do.
Well, I think you brought it in brilliantly. Ideas are only as good as their ability to be applied and augmented by people who choose to incorporate some of it in what they do. And you have done it brilliantly. I think my contribution back in 1990 when we founded the Institute for Functional Medicine was just to provide a resting place or a meeting place, so to speak, an intellectual meeting place for this concept of systems approach to healthcare. That we cut out this disciplinary myopia of saying, gee whiz, I want to be the expert in a specific gland or organ or cell, to where we want to be an expert in understanding why people don't feel well. And that has to do with connecting things together in a different way. And I believe you've done that brilliantly. It's actually what led me into this most recent incarnation of my life, which is this big old health company and the focus on the immune system. The reason I have done this is not that I really needed another activity. I've had a pretty busy life up to this point. I'm pushing on my 80th birthday soon. And I really got kind of high-centered on asking the question, where do a lot of these problems arise? What if we really talk about root cause? Where do they go? Where do they come from? And I eventually landed on the nervous and immune systems, which crosstalk one with the other. They're intimately involved with communication because they're the two systems of the body that are communicating with the outside and inside world 24/7, 365, telling us how we should respond to our experiences in life, what we eat, what we think, who we're with, our environment, all the traumas that we've experienced. And so I said, maybe I should be looking at the immune system through a different lens, because the lens that I've always thought of the immune system was that protection against infectious disease, viruses and bacteria and so forth. And certainly it plays a big role there, so I don't want to discount that as true. But it's come to light that the immune system has a lot more functional aspects across the organs in its communication with the nervous system that regulates immunity in virtually every cell type. And so I started to look at immune connection to metabolism and how that really influences our overall, how we look, act, and feel. And when I kind of changed my perspective to say, let's broaden the lens or the way we think of the immune system, I started recognizing that all the contemporary immune researchers that were making the most latest discoveries were in that area, saying what's beyond infectious disease. And it's very interesting, actually, it's very timely to have this discussion, because just this last week in Science magazine, which is arguably one of the principal science journals, the title of this is The Non-Traditional Immune System. It's a special issue all around how the immune system interconnects with the nervous system and all, like sleep and mood and pain and energy and obesity and all these things that have an immune connection. So we dedicated Big Will Health on trying to understand that, and we've now come out with a series of products built on some discoveries we made about an ancient food called Himalayan tartary buckwheat, a 3,500-year-old food that tends to rebalance the immune system. And so we're kind of like been pulled in. I never thought I'd be an organic farmer, but now I am a part owner of organic farms, and actually they're also regenerative certified recently. So it's a whole new chapter in my life, which I think will translate into expanding the ability that we have to help people who have these nagging chronic problems.
You know, the immune system really is a window into our whole life experience. And it records these memories, and it's supposed to. That's what it does in order to protect us. But its connection with the nervous system makes it also so connected to our emotional states. And then when we look at the nervous system and its role with driving metabolism, we see that this chronic trauma is a neuroimmune metabolic syndrome. And so it's so exciting to actually be able to understand the science, because then we have tools for that. And I have had patients literally look me in the face and tell me, I can't expect a better life because I had childhood trauma. I had, maybe they said, a high ACE score. And Dr. Aimie, haven't you seen the research on what happens to people in their adult age who have this high of ACE score? This is what I can expect. This is what I've come to surrender myself to. And so for me to be like, actually, no, there is so much that we can do. So share the research, because when you showed me the actual effect of this buckwheat on the immune system, this is not just preventing disease. This is actually reversing some of that impact on the immune system. And I want people to know this.
Well, thank you. Yeah, you know, we often think of, as you've said, the immune system is exposed to all these experiences we've had in life, some of which are not so good. So it remembers these bad experiences, and some of them are worse than others. And as you said, I think a lot of people just take for granted that there's nothing they can do about that. But I try to point out that our immune system, actually, the cells that make up our immune system, actually turn over every 4 months. We're a new immune system. So the question is, do they remember exactly the way they came? Are they worse, or are they better than the ones that they're replacing? And what has been found, both by our research and other investigators in the field, is that actually this is a reversible potential. The immune system can rejuvenate its function and moving back to a more resilient state, a younger biological age, so to speak, So to test that, we did this clinical trial. It was a pilot trial, only 30 people, but for 90 days, in which we measured their immune system age using a state-of-the-art biological age marker of epigenetic imprinting of their immune system. And then we had them on the Immune Rejuvenate product, the tartary buckwheat product, for 90 days. And we remeasured it at the end of the 3 months. And lo and behold, those individuals that we had found having very rapidly aged immune systems lowered their immune system aging by 47% in 90 days. We reversed aging and we went the other way. We rejuvenated their immune system. Now, that in itself might sound kind of esoterically interesting, but the more important thing is that we've gotten all these remarkable feedback from people saying they're sleeping better, their energy levels go up, their chronic pain goes away, their sense of vitality goes up, their basic activities of daily living are improved. So once again, it tells us how important that immune nervous system connection is, and it's reversible to move it to a more vital state if we do the right thing. Now, is tartary buckwheat the only thing that will do that? Of course not, but it is a 3,500-year-old historic blue zone type food that no one has known about in the United States, unfortunately, until we brought it back 4 years ago. We were the first people to have organic tartary buckwheat fields in the whole United States. So I'm amazed that it's taken this long for someone to bring it back, but it does seem now to be having a really positive effect. In fact, I just got back from a really fascinating tour of Southern California, all the Erewhon stores, and talking to their customers and their leadership about immune system function. And what I came to learn is that even at that high level of nutrition savvy people, and Erewhon is a pretty sophisticated audience, that they still carry this view that the immune system is only there to defend against infection. They don't see the immune system as this healer and rejuvenator of cellular function and ability to be more resilient.
And it's also significant for me that this happened in 90 days. I think that there's this conception of it might take years for me to really get my health back because of how many years it's taken me to get here. But there's something significant about the immune system in 90 days. You want to explain that science to people to give them hope of this renewal process that happens in the immune system?
Yeah, thank you. Well, that's actually exactly why we landed on the immune system, because the nervous system obviously is another very, very important part for rejuvenation as well. But it takes a lot longer for cells in the immune system to get reprogrammed and repatterned. The immune system turns over so rapidly, and it can start sending signals to the nervous system that are happy signals very rapidly from not so happy signals. So we chose the immune system because every 90 to 120 days, our immune system completely turns over. All the cells in our immune system are replaced by new ones. So are they better, the same as, or worse than the ones they've replaced? And what we want to do is make them better. So we're not sending those bad messages to the nervous system. That's the whole approach.
In my book, I talk about neuroception and this perception of the nervous system of the danger versus safety that we're in. And so much of the immune system can be sending signals of danger to our nervous system. And yet then with a tool like this, we can start to change those signals immediately and have a complete renewal of our immune system in 90 to 120 days. Like this is what gives me so much hope for a person, no matter what they've been through in their lifetime. No, this is not a life sentence, and there's so much that you can do. Now, I know with Big Bold Health that you also have the Omega product. Would love for you to touch on why would that also be important for someone's overall stability and movement towards having the aliveness and the health that you want them to have.
Yeah, thank you. So as we started to dig deep into this immune rejuvenation process, we were excited to see that there were a number of other investigators around the world that were actually studying this process, that we weren't just solo people. And the term immune rejuvenation, when we first started out 5 years ago, was kind of a infrequently used term, but now it's become much more frequently used because more people are getting involved with research and development. And what we found is that there are really three pillars that are associated with rejuvenating the immune system. One is the polyphenols, this class of nutrients that are found in grains, fruits, and vegetables. When I say grains, I really mean non-glutinous seed products. Tartary buckwheat is not a wheat; it's not a grain; it's actually a fruit seed. But these food products, we often think of them as colored, like vegetables can be in fruits: orange, red, blue, violet, yellow. Those color agents are polyphenols and carotenoids that actually have influence on immune cell programming. And it's very interesting that this discovery, which we're involved with a number of others, is starting to re-enliven the field of flavonoid importance in our diet. We used to think these are just antioxidants and they protect against oxidative stress. They do that, but they have much more selective cellular action in their ability to reprogram the immune cells. And so it turns out that tartary buckwheat, much to our surprise when we first started to become aware of it, we've now discovered it has over 120 immune active polyphenols in it. It's probably the most rich in polyphenols. You might say why? It's because this particular plant evolved in one of the more hostile places of the world. So it had to have a super good immune system in order to survive. So it evolved these rich array of these immune protective nutrients for the plant, which gets passed on to us when we eat it. And so the concept was, okay, polyphenols are important, but are they the only things that are doing the lifting? And the answer is no. It turns out the gut plays a role here with the microbiome. And so pre and probiotics, specific types of prebiotics that help to regulate the production of certain kinds of friendly bacteria, particular bacteria like Mucinophila, Akkermansia mucinophila. And there's a specific kind of prebiotic that is very helpful for those friendly probiotics, and that is a prebiotic called D-chiroinositol, or abbreviated DCI. And it turns out that we found, coincidentally, that Himalayan tartary buckwheat has very high levels of DCI. So it's very, very helpful for helping to form a friendly gut microbiome. So we also feel the second pillar is building pre and probiotic functional integrity of the microbiome. Then we have a product called Microbiome Rejuvenate that's focused on that of the second pillar. And then the third pillar is one that I've been interested in since 1980, I think. 1980, when I was the first person to bring omega-3 fatty acids. I was on the Today and show in Good Morning America trying to tell people about omega-3 fats in 1980. Now,
Wonderful. Well, for me, as I say, the message of the biology of trauma is a message of hope. Because once we understand the science, we can understand where we have these leverage points that we can apply the repair tools. And then we have products like yours that are the repair tools, and it opens up possibilities that we just didn't know about, we didn't see before, though they've always been there available to us. So thank you again for the work that you've done. Thank you again for coming and sharing with us about these products.